3 segments down, 3 segments to go here on krforadio.com. Masters Podcast. Phil Iacovino next to me. This is Jason Iacovino. Thanks for joining us. Just to pick up on some of that local golf talk we were having, the other 2 local golf notes from last year that carrying into this season. First off, you had that Triton boys team went up to state in Class 2A and finished actually very well. They had one of their players was in a top 5 in Class 2A individually, and so Don Henderson, no longer the golf coach, he was just recently inducted into the Minnesota State High School Football Coaches Hall of Fame. Couple weekends ago, long overdue.
That is
for a 3-time state champion football coach, 1994, 2000, and then 2006 with the Triton Cobras. But he's handing over golf coaching duties. He is, of course, still the AD at Triton. And then the other local golf note, Peter Jones, who finished a runner-up in the Class 3A individual state tournament last year, is now with the Golden Gophers, and I admit I have not gone on and seen what he has done so far with the Gophers this year. It's obviously very early, although I think they play in the fall. I think if they play fall and spring.
I think they do a double schedule. I don't really know much about Big Ten golf. You never really see them down there.
Yeah, it's a little different.
At the where they make it to the NCAA, where Golf Channel does the coverage. Maybe Big Ten golf isn't all that competitive with the rest of the country.
Anyway, I might just, while we're rambling here, go on Google and see what Peter Jones has done there in his freshman year at University of Minnesota, playing at a course that I believe, are you playing league at Les Bolstead, or I heard something about you're going to be playing?
No, Joanna,
our sister.
Yep, and her husband, they're going to play in a league there. I'm actually going to play, I don't even know what the course is. It's almost by Medina, basically.
Okay.
Tuesday night league. I can't remember the name of the course. I just got an email and replied to it. But no, I've played Les Bolstead.
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually hold events there, like where.
I think they just practice there.
I think it's
I don't think the Gophers ever. I don't think the Gophers ever play there. So I'm looking at their roster, and let's see here. We'll get this figured out. When I was a freshman back in the fall of 1997 at the U of M, I actually was housed at the St. Paul dorm, is where I stayed on the Bailey Hall is what it was called on the St. Paul campus, which
like right by Les Bolstead.
Walking distance. I would walk. I had my golf clubs in my dorm, and I would walk to the course from my dorm, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
At the time, one of the couple advantages of being in that dorm. Another was we had cable TV, and none of the Minneapolis.
Oh, really?
None of the Minneapolis dorms had. Yep, we had cable TV. Plus,
okay.
like you said, right across from AGR frat house and Farmhouse frat house, which provided a lot of fun for us on the weekends. Some of the coolest dudes you could ever hang out with. So I'm looking at the 2015-2016 Gophers schedule. They had a number of tournaments. Not seeing. Hang on here. We'll get to that thought in a second. Anyway, hopefully Peter Jones is having. I see he's still on the roster, along with a lot of. What would Brent Musburger say? How would he call them?
Oh, boy. Red-blooded.
Players from not in this country.
Oh, foreigners.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about his comment to...
Oh, no.
Red-blooded.
The Jen Sturgeon
whatever.
thing. No. We as part of that 86 final round CBS coverage thing, Musburger interviewed Gary Player at Butler Cabin, and at the time, Seve Ballesteros had the lead. Jack Nicklaus ends up overcoming that, of course, and winning 30 years ago at the age of 46. But Musburger is talking to Gary Player about all the foreigners.
Player gives him this look like, I'm sorry, what, foreigner? You just call... And then he said, he even called him, no, I don't happen to like the word foreigner. I prefer we, refer to international players. But Musburger had this grin on his face and just...
Right.
Oh, what do you think of these foreigners?
Okay, let's see if we...
Speaking of back in the day, Tom Watson's final Masters, 43 of them for Tommy, and he finished it up on Friday. Nice little ovation as he walked up to the 18th green, and Ben Crenshaw, Peter North, and of course Billy Payne, the chairman of Augusta National, there to greet him. stepped into Butler Cabin, kind of waved his little hat, and we will no longer see Tom Watson at Augusta. I'm guessing we'll see the picture of him at the Champions Dinner on Tuesday nights, the week of the tournament. But two-time Masters champion, and I think he won 5 British Opens. I think he's got 8.
Yeah.
And then he won the U.S. Open at Pebble, so he's got 8 majors. And not a bad place to wrap it all up.
No, not at all. Not at all. Just quickly on Peter Jones, he has only played in 2 tournaments, and I think just in general that team has played in limited tournaments. And so his best finish, believe it or not, at something called the Husky Invitational, which I imagine is in Lincoln, Nebraska, and he finished tied for 33rd. That was back in the fall. But
low score? What did he get under par a few times this year?
His score was 233, and his best. Let's see. So divide that by 4 and figure out the. Let's figure out whatever that is. 70 times 4 is 280. No, that can't be right. Anyway, Husky Invitational was his best finish. So, as we kind of bounce around here, checking on the clock, couple minutes left in this segment 4 of our Masters podcast, and as we're watching the coverage, Bernhard Langer just missed a birdie on 2, which is a par 5. The par 5s, he birdied all 4 of them yesterday. The par 5s are usually huge in this tournament. We're seeing Spieth here with an iron into the second hole.
Looks like he's got a decent drive, and he's going for it in 2.
Which is, again, one of the 4 par 5s. Hole 2, hole 8, hole 13, and hole 15.
How many of the holes do you know their names?
Oh, boy, that's probably not. If you had to quiz me on it, I maybe
You want me
would
to
get
quiz you on it?
2 of them right. The Chinese fir is 14, because I remember that yesterday.
Okay.
Something called azalea is 13.
Yep.
There's an azalea.
flower.
I don't know if that's good enough, though, if I just say
It's called azalea, and it's 13.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
right.
all it's called is azalea?
Azalea.
I would be, now, just because I heard it on the radio, something T is number 1.
Tea olive is 1.
Tea olive, okay. Give me that.
Yeah.
That's about it, though. I don't know that I could come up with the rest of them.
Okay, I'll just run through them just for fun. Number 1 is tea olive. It's a par 4.
Yes.
2 is pink dogwood, 575-yard par 5. 3 is flowering peach. It's a short 350-yard par 4. 4 is flowering crabapple.
I'm going to start laughing.
It's a 240-yard par 3. So they're ridiculous names. Magnolia 5, it's a par 4. Big right-to-left slope with that huge bunker. Juniper 6, and I don't have to go through the rest of them. You get the idea.
Juniper, yes, it's a downhill par 3.
Pompous, of course, because 7 is kind of a pompous hole. No, I think that's how you pronounce it. P-A-M-P-A-S?
Pampas, maybe?
Pampas, okay. Short, 450-yard par 4. And then Yellow Jasmine, the final par 5 on the front 9. And then Carolina Cherry, number 9. And then you get into where the tournament really starts, is the back 9 on Sunday. And Camellia 10. And we talked about 11, I think.
No, we didn't mention 11
We didn't
yet.
mention 11.
11 and 12 we have not mentioned. That's
White Dogwood 11.
Okay,
12.
White Dogwood 12 is the par 3 in Amen's Corner. The
Yeah, I think it's
150-yard
Golden
hold.
Bell. Yeah, it is Golden Bell. 155 yards. It
Yeah.
gives them so much trouble.
With just that little sliver
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Race Creek in front and
then,
that bunker in front.
You mentioned 13, Azalea.
Yeah.
Reachable par 5, famous for the shot heard around
just
the world
think-
when Gene Sarzen
That's right.
double eagle.
Forward double eagle.
Or
The thing about Azalea,
albatross.
I mean, you and I are probably long enough where we could hit number 13 and 2, but if we hit a perfect drive and a perfect 3-wood. But the issue is, how could you?
Well, I mean,
How could you
it's
ever?
5'10". Yeah, I think we could probably get there.
How could you ever take that stance though? And get a good shot on the second shot. People
you
don't
can
realize
appreciate it until you're on the grounds. Yeah.
the ball's 3 feet above you.
Yeah.
How do you
You
how do you
try
do
and hit
that?
a 4-iron or a
These guys
3-wood
are
with the
amazing.
ball above you.
I couldn't hit that shot with a wedge and expect anything other than a line drive shank. I mean, it's just that
Right.
part of it is crazy. Now, Spieth laid up on that hole yesterday. And then that was kind of where his troubles began, although he did birdie 15, the second par 5. But he could have went for it in 2 and 13, ends up laying up, but then his third shot was well short, and he ended up making par there. which is 13 is definitely a birdie hole. And then he parred 14. He birdied 15, and at the time you said, well, if he makes this birdie, that gets him to 6, which gets him a 4-shot lead over Smiley. And then it's just going to be a, I don't know if you said victory lap Sunday or how you put
Coronation or something like that.
Something like that. And I was like, not so fast. And so that got him to 6. He parred 16, but then he bogeyed 17 and doubled 18 to finish at 3 under, which is exactly where he is here, playing the second hole. And still with just that 1-shot lead over Smiley. Let me ask you this. Do you expect Smiley to be in the mix down the stretch here?
No, I mean, try and think of a name that has been in a final pairing where it was just like, oh, wow, I'm talking in the last 10 years, that has just showed up in a pairing and said, yeah, I guess I'm going to win this tournament. It just doesn't really happen. Not at a Masters. This is a tournament where, other than Jordan Spieth last year, who, by the way, from the previous year, his first Masters finished second. So, this is a tournament where I don't think one guy who it's his first time here. I'm not saying he's not going to play well. Obviously, he has to this point, but I just don't see him closing it out.
2 segments to go. We'll close it out here. 2 segments left in our Masters podcast.